Matt Borowski. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate it.
Owner of 618, owner of Mezcal, partner in Jersey Freeze. Plan to franchise across the country. Opening up Elizabeth's Modern Italian coming soon. They're trying to get tables and bathrooms aren't even done yet.
Yes, sir.
You are into real estate. You're an author of a best-selling book. On top of that, you're a husband and a father.
I have 3 kids, yes.
3 kids. You got a wild schedule. So I'm just trying to process how you put attention into everything and what your day in the life kind of looks like and where your attention goes, what people you have in place to make this all happen.
The most important thing is consistency and routines, right? First and foremost, you put precedence on what's the most important to you. Every day at 5 o'clock, I want to be home to have dinner with my kids. I don't care what's going on. There's no money in the world or any success in the world or any meeting in the world that comes first to my children. That's it. I'd love to be with my kids, and I want to be a present father. And I would cut back on the success if it did mess up what was important to me, or blockaded it. And I'm fortunate enough to have a great team where I am home every day at 5 o'clock. Everything else is it's chaos. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, sending a text to someone at 9 o'clock in the morning. That's one of the best things is technology. So how I run my businesses, if I call you, you answer the phone. You're in jail, you answer the phone. You're at court, you answer the phone. You're in a meeting, my boss is calling me, I have to answer it. It's non-negotiable if I call someone on my team. A text message, you have an hour to get back to me. Email, you have 24 hours. That's my life.
And you tell your staff this?
100%. I'm very clear. Nice. This is the levels.
Yeah.
And then you got to prioritize things. You have to keep setting reminders. Following through is so important, and the most important thing is having an amazing team that's overtrained. So my team can answer a question how I would answer it, and it's very important that they have the same work ethic as me. It's 7 days a week, 365. There's no such thing as vacations. There's no such thing as holidays. There's no time off. This business is cutthroat. I say you're only as good as your next meal. Someone come here 10 times. It was amazing. That one time you mess up, they're gone. Yeah. It's wild. They're not running back.
No.
You have to stop making excuses. It took me over a year to write my book. Someone had more time, a month or two maybe, but I said to my children and my wife, I'm gonna write a book. And who am I if I don't finish it?
Yeah.
I'm not happy with the book. If it's a bestseller, people every day, can you sign my book? I love it.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm just hard on myself, and I understand that follow through is everything in business and in life. If you say you're gonna do it, do it. There's no excuse. Yesterday we had a big networking event upstairs, and how many people were like, I'm getting my real estate license this year. I'm getting my insurance license. I'm gonna open a restaurant. Do it. Just stop talking and saying, I am going to, and just find a way to do it. So, there's gonna be sleepless nights, there's gonna be 7-day work weeks, but if it was easy, everyone would do it. I watch these resumes, and if you change your job every 2 or 3 months,
it shows.
Why would you put that down on your damn resume?
Sure.
You have 15 jobs in the last 2 years. Well, I don't leave jobs. I spent, I guess my longest term was 2 or 3 years, and that's maybe because I moved, or that's the shortest.
What job was that?
Always in the restaurant business.
Gotcha.
You name it. Growing up, I had 3 jobs. So there's things that are not in my book. I was a police dispatcher. At one time, I was a assistant manager of a drugstore. While always I was a mechanic at one time.
Wow.
I did brakes and oil changes and things like that. So I did it all.
And you started 13 years old, 14 in the restaurant?
I was 12. I was 12 or 13 when I had my first job. And I never left.
Yeah.
I remember working at McDonald's. I had that special name tag because I was 15, not 16.
Wow.
And it was crazy. There was certain equipment that I couldn't use because I wasn't 18 years old. And
wow.
By the time I really got into serving, I was 17 years old. I worked at IHOP overnights. And listen, it was great to me because I could still work during the day.
Yeah.
And there's money to be made because no one wanted to work at night. But I mean, places like IHOP, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, you can make $300 on a morning shift.
Yeah, and being that young, that's good money.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
5 days a week, you're making $1,500.
Solid.
Yeah.
Overnight, and then you can work during the day.
I remember being a waiter and a bartender. I was making like, $2,000 plus a week. I mean, I was making $100,000 back there. And then the people you meet.
100%.
Think about how many tables you can't sit at.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to come in here and, hey, I want to sit with the owner. It's not happening.
No, exactly.
One, there's levels of chains of command, right? So here you might meet the entry-level manager, and then maybe you'll meet the assistant general manager, then finally the general manager, then we have my vice president is here, my right-hand guy.
Was that Ed?
Yeah, Ed. Yeah. So before you even get to remotely get to me, you're not getting the right email. Yeah. You're not getting my personal anything. You're just not getting us. Yeah. So you message us on Instagram or Facebook, you're not getting me. Because there's a lot of people who just, want to waste time, I guess, right? And what I mean by that is, like, I had a guy come 3 weeks ago, and I happened to be at the front desk here, and he's like, who do you use for insurance? And I'm just like...
trying to sell you on...
Yeah, so he hands me his business card, and I look up his name. He's never been in my restaurant. I've been open almost... this is the start of year 10.
Yeah.
You never came for a drink. You never had dinner here. But you want to sell me a monster account with a lot of properties, sell me a service. But if I use a story a lot on my he's Fedway, my Fedway liquor rep. So there's 2 monster distributors in New Jersey, Allied and Fedway. So think about what it's like to get an account like me. I'm always opening restaurants.
Yeah,
I have restaurant 3 and 4 already, pretty much in the works.
Yeah, you're hot.
I'm a big account.
For sure.
So there's a guy who came in with his family, awesome guy, and always had a really nice, expensive bottle of wine. And I got to know him because he was a great guest of ours. And then one day I just say, what do you do for a living? And he goes, I'm a liquor sales rep. I said, okay, you're my rep tomorrow.
That's the guy you're going to hire, because he's not trying to shove it down your mouth.
He's my guy. He's my guy today.
Exactly.
Because he earned my business. He earned my loyalty. He earned my trust. And more importantly, we all should be able to, do business with the people who deserve it. You don't just go to a place and have a monster multi-million-dollar account and you didn't work a relationship up. Because guys like me, the relationships are worth more than the money, right? Respect is everything.
And he built trust with you, because before you even knew what he did, you liked the guy.
And he supported me, so why wouldn't I support him?
100%.
I love to support people. I go to restaurants all the time with my wife, and we support the people who support us. There's reasons why we have our holiday parties at certain places. There's reasons why we have an ex-insurance guy. There's a reason why I have my personal real estate agent. Yeah. So, Mike Scafani, I'm probably one of his top accounts. I do like to buy a lot of commercial and residential stuff. And
he's the Old Bridge location, right? Or he was part of it?
Yeah, he was part of it, but he owned CKO Kickboxing next to here.
Oh, nice.
So when I was, before I was full owner here, it was Park 33, and he opened, it was a nightclub, and he opened up CKO Kickboxing next door, and we just became friends. That's before he was in real estate. So, 5 years later, after he let me park for free next door for many, many years, when some people don't. Yeah. Some people want $2 million insurance policies on their lot. Some people want $1,000, $2,000.
They're in it for the transaction.
The park, yeah. They want to treat me, well, hey, your business isn't open, so why would you want to charge me? So, I'm a landlord, and I would never charge someone for parking. Yeah, if I'm using the parking spaces, you can't have them. That's for us to do our business. But if it's 6 o'clock at night and you're closed, and the place has insurance, why wouldn't you let them park?
Exactly.
Because we coexist. If I own a business in Freehold and someone parks next to me, most likely they're local people parking there. Most likely they're Freehold people parking there, right? So in the end, I'm only hurting the guest that might be my guest.
For sure.
So, Mike never charged me, and then when he became a real estate guy, who else would I use? And I use him today.
Nice.
And what I hate about business is people try to steal me all the time. And it's just like, to get to my level of business, we're like street smart guys, I guess.
Yeah.
And we know the difference between right and wrong. And I'm loyal to the people for a reason. I don't just wake up and, hey, that's my real estate guy now. There's a reason why I have the marketing companies I use. There's a reason why, I go to a certain dry cleaner. Everything is kind of strategic in my life and selective, and my circle is extremely small. So I always tell everyone, the restaurant business, back to being young, you get to sit at tables, the server comes over, that could be a CEO of a company. How many times do you get to meet a CEO of a company? Look at the guy that was able to interview Mr. Beast. You watch the layers of how to get to Mr. Beast, and he couldn't get to Mr. Beast. And he just didn't stop, and then he found someone part of the organization. Think about how many people want to talk to Mr. Beast. Everyone. You're not going to Instagram him and say, hey, what's up? I own this. So, it just shows the power of networking and getting at that table.
Definitely.
I was able to get at tables that I didn't belong. And that one led to friendships, that led to business, that led to relationships that really helped me in my career. So when I open a restaurant, I'm blessed enough to have a following of people that know who and what I am, and they know that I'm in business more than just money. When you're young, it's all about money this, money that. And then when you finally start getting success, and once your bills are already paid and it's auto paying, you don't think about your bills, you're really in business for the real reason at that point. You're really in business because you want to be in business. So my expansion basically is because my team wants to grow and I want to keep giving back to the community. And I feel like hospitality, makes restaurants. A good example is Asbury. Asbury was the projects. You couldn't give away a condo for $100,000 in a bad neighborhood.
People didn't want it.
But then the restaurateurs came in. Places like Porta, the restaurants on the boardwalk. They made it a place of gathering. Restaurants, we're like the hub. We're the life. People always say Asbury, and you want to go to Asbury. Well, you didn't when it was bad, but I think the restaurants really turned it around. Now the condos are $2 million. Yeah. So it shows how important restaurants are because we are a meeting place. We are a hub. When you want to move near, my wife's like, hey, we don't want to be too far from a Whole Foods, and maybe your favorite restaurants are close. That's bargaining chip to say, hey, the schools are good here. Our favorite restaurants are close, and our favorite bars, and so it's definitely important for restaurants to have great operators, and I'm really changing the dining scene in Old Bridge. Everyone's like, oh, your restaurant's going to fail. That property has failed many times. When I bought this, I'll never forget, a table told me, well, this place changed names so many times, you're not going to make it. And it's those things that motivate you. And 10 years later, you like to just prove people wrong. So everyone told me Mezcal was going to fail because it was too of a high-end concept for Old Bridge, and look at us now, one of the hardest restaurants to get into in New Jersey. People are trying to buy gift cards to Elizabeth's. We don't have working bathrooms. That's crazy. You don't even know the menu or prices. People just trust me, and they know that I will always do the right thing. And that's kind of like, my story is I treat people still how I want to be treated. I don't walk around with fancy suits and fancy sports cars thinking I'm better than people. And, I'm still a normal guy. There's things that have changed a little bit in my life. I'm a husband and a father first, so that's very important to me. And my restaurant growth and my I guess people's like your empire, it's for the people that I'm associated with. I have hundreds of employees, and I want them to have a bright future. And my first boss used to say, I'm not happy till all of you have Mercedes, when it comes to financially, but also give a good work environment. Mezcal, we interviewed 400 people. We hired 35. We fired 15 the first week.
Wow.
That 25 people, they're still with us.
What was the biggest thing that made you fire those people? Just
following systems. When you go into someone else's business, you're working for someone else's dream. So when you come with 20 years of experience, but you might have 20 years of bad habits. I never want employees like, well, I make the best Jack and Coke. Okay, good. Well, you're going to make it my way anyway. I'd rather you have a personality, and that's the most important thing. Hire for personality. You can't coach or teach someone to smile or be an authentically great person. And, I'm sure you guys, when you're out and about, there's certain people that are just always happy in a good mood. And they really just it could be the worst things are happening in their life and they're still positive. Yeah. And I like to associate my people with positive people. People that love work, people that love community. Charity and giving back is huge for me. So I like to surround myself with like-minded people. People that are good husbands and, good parents. That's important to me.
Definitely. Would you hire the person that has 20 years of experience, or that young, hungry person that's willing to learn?
It's all about personality.
Yeah. For sure.
Sometimes you hire the young and they're not mature enough to work at this kind of place. And, I had to earn my wings as well, too. Like I didn't go knock on a door and work at Mezcal. I started and learned how to serve first, IHOP, and then I finally started learning liquor at a corporation. I worked for Lone Star Steakhouse in Bricktown. Became a server and a bartender there, really learned the systems, and then I went to Darden, so where I ended up becoming one of the youngest managers in that company. But I already had like 3 or 4 restaurants of experience before I knocked on the door.
Yeah.
And that's important. Don't go knock on, we have kids now that come and say, hey, I want to be a bartender. What's your experience? They don't have any.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well,
you gotta earn your wings.
Yeah, go start somewhere. Go start at a Chili's. Go start at an Applebee's. Learn the basics of how to hold a tray.
For sure.
Right? But don't just come in and think you're going to be the bartender at Mezcal.
No.
Like everyone that works for me, most of my staff makes over 6 figures. They're professionals.
Yeah.
They want to be there. They care about your experience, and they understand the culture supports positive culture. And people that come in and, my book kind of talks about viruses. If you're a virus, you're not working for me. I don't care how good of a server you are. I don't care that you're the top in sales. People know that my accountability exists every single day. We don't have days off. We don't. We're always positive, and we're always understanding that culture means more to me than anything else. And listen, my level of my life, I'm not motivated by money anymore. It's respect, and reputation is more, and my legacy is more important to me than pretty much anything.
For sure. So I want to talk about what you said before, when obviously like your bills are on auto pay, but it wasn't always like that. You grew up in Brooklyn, right? 5 people in a small apartment, but
my wife makes fun of me because she's like, you always tell people that story, because I don't want people to look at the fancy stuff that we might have now, the house on the golf course and the nice cars and kids in private school. I want people to realize that I started at the bottom, and you can too. It's America. There's a lot more than just the 40-hour work week. You have to work 100 hours a week when you're first starting. You have to work 3 jobs.
Yeah.
I have people who complain, they can't afford things. Well, you have to own your own business. Working for someone else is great to learn. But if I was an electrician, I would learn to be an electrician. I would work for 5 different companies and learn different things from the best, and then start my own business.
Yeah.
You want to be successful, you have to start your own business. And today it's just like there's so many different avenues to make money. Like, I can't believe there's still business owners that don't have an up-to-date, accurate Google listing, or a Facebook page, or Instagram, or don't know what TikTok is.
Yeah.
You have to learn. You have to self-educate yourself, and if not, you have to hire someone that can bring that to the table. I know that I'm not perfect at a lot of things. I needed a really good chef. So when I met my chef, I promised him, ownership, and I gave him ownership. So hopefully financially I changed his life, which I think I'm going to. But he deserved it, but he believed in my dream, right? So that's something that people don't realize, that you have to work extremely hard when you come from nothing. And I'm not a big fan in college. I'm so glad I dropped out of college, because I'm learning someone else's opinion. I'm really strict with my kids. Teach them how to read, write, math, science, that's it. No politics. Don't teach them your opinion.
Yeah.
Don't teach them this, left and right. I think it's gotten cloudy that people's opinions come too far-fetched and forward. Look at these Ivy League schools. Imagine spending $80,000 a year to send a kid to Harvard, and his brain's being brainwashed. And listen, you can say left or right, it doesn't matter. Any brainwashing.
Yeah.
I don't like super right, I don't like super left. But in the end of the day, your beliefs shouldn't be pushed on my family every single day.
For sure. Would you say the best teacher is experience? Like, you dropped out of college, went full-time with that job in the restaurant. That was your best learning experience, I would say?
100% is college is good if you want to be a doctor. College is good if you want to be a lawyer. But you have to know it. You can't just say, hey, I'll figure it out in college, or take a liberal arts degree or business. What is that business degree? That professor doesn't know more than a guy like me.
No, he's a teacher.
I make a lot more than that professor.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, how is he proven? He's not. Or maybe he was a CEO of a company 20 years ago. Business has changed.
100%.
If you're not part of that trend, right? I tell everyone, success in the restaurant business is, we're not going to get you to come to dinner every week. We just need you part of the rotation. I go to Angelica's, I go to Cousins, I go to 618. If you're not in that mix, And shout out to places like La Medina, people I love, Tommy from the Butcher Block is great people. We're part of the rotation. You have to be part of the rotation. I just heard some real estate guy talk about the places they go on Valentine's Day. He said 618. If you're not part of that conversation, or you're not even at that table, you're done. You know, and I don't expect people to come to my restaurant, you know, every other week. If you want to come every 2 or 3 months, but I'm part of your rotation consistently, over time, that's where the success comes in.
Exactly.
You know, restaurant empires are built with years and years and years. And a good example is the first year, 618 sold a few $1,000s in gift cards. I think this year we sold almost $500,000 in gift cards.
I was part of that.
Yeah, and listen,
people love it, you know.
618 destroyed Mezcal when it came to gift cards. It just shows, you know, to build that loyalty and to build that consistency fan base takes a long time. People look at restaurants and they come into places like mine and Cousins and like, wow, they print money. They don't for a long time. People always ask advice. Day one, do you make money in the restaurant business? No, but have $500,000 in the bank account because you're going to lose it year one. Year two, you're still not making money. Year three, maybe you're approaching a better progression of making almost break even. You don't really start making real money in the restaurant business like 4 or 5 years because your gift cards got better, your holiday parties got better, your consistent fan base. People will try a place once, and you've been there. Have you went to a restaurant that was awesome and never went back? We're products of, you know, programming. Yeah. So I use the example a lot when I talk to the younger staff. If it's 3 o'clock in the morning and the traffic light is red, and you drive through that traffic light, you're like this, freaking out. The hair stands on the back of your neck. Yeah. Why? There's no one around. That $200, piece of metal was red, and you're so scared. So it's programming. We're programmed to go to a certain grocery store. We're programmed to like a certain restaurant. We're programmed to use who we use for a plumber or electrician. We're just so systematic as humans, and when you start understanding that someone will try something once, but then they go back to what they're accustomed to. Yeah. They might try that new gym, but there's a gym you've been going to for years, or that's how it works in business. When you go to a restaurant and you have great food and great service, what do you think the percentage of is coming back?
High.
30%.
Yeah.
The second time, great food and great service, and we're talking about have to be great. What do you think the percentage is now?
50?
30%. The third time's 80.
Wow.
So because of that repetition.
Exactly. Consistency.
Right? Consistency. Yeah. We stop at red lights. We've been doing it since we were kids. It's just how we're programmed. So when a new restaurant opens, you'll go. Yeah. But what are the chances of going back? And, you know, I looked at the best review I ever got, year one, when I opened 618. Lady was like 10 out of 10, amazing. Wrote this crazy paragraph of how amazing we were, how I was. She never came back.
Wow.
Yeah. So I called her, and of course I got a voicemail, and I said, this is Matt from 618. I was reading your review again, and I wanted to thank you for how that made me feel. I would love to send you a $50 gift card as well, you know, to come back, you know, because of, you know, doing what you did to me. And she came back, and now she's a regular. Wow. You know, a good example is shout out to Seth Dobbs. So one of my servers said, hey, I met this lawyer last night. He spent a lot of money. He's the man. He tipped well. He's great. He's excellent. I called Seth Dobbs. I said, hi, Seth. Of course, I got the voicemail. And I said, you know, I want to thank you for your business. I heard you're an amazing table. And I wanted you to have my personal cell phone number if you need any special bottles of wine. You wanted some discount wholesale wine for the holidays. And more importantly, I want to know what you do so I can give it back, pay it forward. Like, why would I want to do business with him? For sure. If I'm ever buying a car dealership, he's my guy. That's what he does, right? Who else would I use? And if I know anyone, he's the guy I'm going to use. So you kind of just, that networking is important too. And he texted me, and I met him next time. I put in the notes to meet him. He's a personal friend of mine. I love him. He's a great guy.
That's awesome. And I think you reaching out not only builds trust with, obviously, that individual, but now the people in his circle, he's going to go and tell, Matt from 618 is the man. You guys have to come here.
How many owners are just nasty people? They think they're better than us. They think they have more money than us. And they're just I don't know, they're standoffish. What makes you special, especially in the restaurant business? How are you not welcoming to everybody?
It's your job. You got to be.
Yeah, they're too busy flirting with girls at the bar. They're too busy talking to the staff. I'm at the tables. I love talking to people. And people are like, when are you going to stop? When I stop loving people, and I do love people. I really do. I generally want people who are spending their hard-earned money today, right? Money doesn't go anywhere. You used to make $100,000 20 years ago, you were doing fine. Now you're struggling, especially in New Jersey. So I understand how expensive it costs to go out to eat. And trust me, we do look at our numbers and prices and say, wow, I can't believe that's that expensive. But the cost of operating a restaurant is insane, and I don't see it getting any easier.
Yeah.
I remember meeting an old gentleman years ago, and he was like in his 90s, and I said, what's the key to living this long, aging well and living this long?
Yeah.
He goes, staying busy, staying active, keeping your mind moving, keeping moving. So I enjoy business because it's a challenge. I enjoy the restaurant business because it's a very hard business. It keeps you on your feet, keeps you moving. We work banker's hours and then we work nightclub hours.
Yeah,
it's
nonstop.
wild. My managers send me emails from the end of night reports, and they're like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And it's just, I'm grateful to have people that put in those hours for me when I can't be there. And I'm grateful to have great representation from my organization. We're all like-minded individuals with a goal in mind, and that goal is great to our community, where we want people to be happy, and we really care. So everyone that works for me, I guess the most important thing is, their work ethic's insane, their follow-through's insane, and they care.
So walk me through the reality, the physical, emotional, mental strain that it takes opening a business and staying, not only opening, but staying consistent and pushing through to become successful.
When you first open like a restaurant, it's some of the worst, I guess, can be some of the worst days of your life. I mean, it's relentless. It's 16 to 20-hour days, always a mistake, nothing's easy. You get guys like me who are kind of a perfectionist and want things perfect. It's tough. But you really rely on the team, finding people that are better than you at certain things. Like type A people that are more organized help me stay organized. You find greatness in everyone. I always say that, and there always is something you can learn from someone. Every table you can learn something from. So I try to always better myself, and more importantly, I don't take it home. I'm not one to go sit at the dinner table and how was your day. It's the same. It's a battle.
What kept you pushing in those early days to stay consistent? And I bet there was times where you're thinking to yourself, why am I doing this? But what really kept you pushing through to see this all today?
Well, I've always wanted to be my own boss, and I believe and always believed hard work has paid off. It's always done me right, and that's what I knew. I knew how to. I was great at being a server. I was great at being a bartender. I love people, and I knew there was money to be made. Because these big corporations, I look at low-hanging fruit. Especially in New Jersey, there's X amount of liquor licenses, and the big money buys it. The lawyers, the doctors, the investors, they don't get it. They don't understand how important it is to make people feel seen and wanted. And I was in the car wash business for a while, and someone goes, "Sir, you're the owner, and I want to say thank you so much. You do a great job at washing cars." It says car wash outside. It doesn't say laundromat. It doesn't say lawyer's office. I think we've just gotten so accustomed to getting bad service or bad products. My restaurants are extremely consistent. If you don't like it, you're never going to like it. But we're routine. We buy the best ingredients possible, and that's half the battle. Is people just don't realize that you got to buy good stuff. It's not always about making money. There's some things on my menu that I make very little to no profit on, and there's a reason why. With the economy right now, we brought happy hours to all our restaurants.
Till 6 o'clock, right?
Yeah, and all day Monday at Mezcal, which is a very expensive restaurant. Because we want everyone to enjoy it, For sure. We understand that $20 margaritas are awful, but in the end, so is staffing. You got 15 people working in the back while that one margarita is getting poured. That's where it goes. Workman's comp is insane, and building insurance is insane, liquor liability is insane. my electric bill here, and it's winter. Summer's where it's high. My electric bill here was $6,200 last month, $6,200. And in summer it's gonna be 10 grand.
Yeah.
Property taxes are almost 60,000. We're talking big numbers. So
let alone payroll too.
Yeah,
Payroll's probably...
My payroll for both companies last year, just 2 restaurants, so 618 and Mezcal was $5 million.
Wow.
Think about the stress, be able to float $5 million if you have 3 slow months.
Yeah.
So 3 slow months, you're $1 million bucks.
That also takes me to the next point of some mistakes that restaurant owners make. And in your book, you talk about investing in staff, investing in food. Can you talk about the importance, why you invest in staff and in food, and the environment and the vibe when you walk in the door?
You're only as good as your team. I can't cook every meal. I can't wait on every table. I can't make every drink. That's it. I mean, that culture, that environment. I don't like toxic workplaces. I worked for toxic bosses. I worked for places that had sexual harassment. I worked for places that people were drinking on the job and there was theft, and there's no accountability. I always tell everyone, leave it at the door. You care if you're fighting with your mom, your girlfriend, you broke up.
Yeah.
I remember being a young restaurant manager, and I was sitting in a corner, and I was really sad, and I was upset. I just came from my grandmother's funeral, and my boss looks at me, Borowski, what's wrong with you? Get up. She's like, you look like you just came from a funeral. I said, I buried my grandmother. And she's like, why are you here? I said, because life has to keep moving. I have to keep moving for her and make my grandmother proud. And to me, that's, so my success in pushing is, I was against all odds, and I just want to make people like my grandmother who aren't here to see my success proud. And more importantly, I have a legacy of 3 children. So who am I to quit? Who am I to stop? Who am I to just ever accept defeat? And I love when I hear people say that, this restaurant's going to fail. They're already telling me Elizabeth's is going to fail. Well, not on my watch.
No.
So consistency and your team is everything. How your business is ran when you're not there, like vacation, is a true, of what kind of manager you are, what kind of owner you are.
And how you train them to
100%.
adapt.
They're only as good as them.
Exactly.
I'm one guy, that has a lot going on. I have multiple restaurants. It was a little bit different when it was just me versus the world. Now it's my team versus the world.
So the restaurant industry has about a 90% failure rate.
Yeah, higher probably, yeah.
Yeah, and it increases or decreases. This number's still there as the years go by, because maybe you get through the first year and then your financing runs out.
Sure.
How hard was it in the beginning to get financing or get people to believe in you? Were you fully
don't.
self-funded, or?
You don't.
Yeah.
Banks won't give you money.
Wow.
So, you can have $3, $4, $5 million in liquid capital in the bank, and a bank still will not give you $100 grand.
Wow.
Even though you have millions in the bank. I remember Mezcal, I had some pretty big numbers in the bank, and they wouldn't give me anything.
Wow. Even after having the success at 618.
So liquor licenses are valued at 0 to a bank. So freehold liquor license is $1 million. You're not getting $1 for it.
Damn.
Unless you sell it.
Yeah.
And then you can't sell liquor, you can't make real profit. It's really hard to make money in food. Chicken parm's been $19 in Italian restaurants for 20 years. I mean, chicken parm should be $40 at a regular non-alcoholic bring your own place. It should be $40 because their costs have just skyrocketed. So in the end, you're not getting financing. If you met a lot of investors, maybe someone would give you money, maybe not. To me, I was really good with saving and stocks, and I was very blessed to have a base of money, but I was dead broke when I bought this place 10 years ago. I was dead broke,
Talk to me about your hybrid kind of system of business and how you took your experience from another place, and kind of combined it to 618 and Mezcal.
The most important thing is just staying consistent, adapting, self-educating, staying true to who and what you are, and more importantly, it's putting people first, putting your staff first and your guest first, and that's the key to being successful. It's just continually repeating consistently your same message, and do the right thing. So I guess there's the time that you don't become motivated by money. So I remember years ago, someone passed away, and there was a younger person, and their family didn't have money for an after funeral lunch, so I did it for free. And I didn't really have the money to do it at that moment, but that was more important to me. So those things come back tenfold. I feel like doing the right thing, and we had a charity event last night, and I'm not going to charge a pediatric cancer charity.
Yeah.
Just what's the point is when you can make money, you can do good things with it. So, the more money I make, I 100% reinvest in my businesses. We're decorating both restaurants for Valentine's Day. I'm spending $15,000, $20,000.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't do that. For Christmas, we spent over $30,000.
Wow.
Because it's important to keep giving back. And, my chefs want a new $40,000 grill at Mezcal, no problem. Because you have to give the tools to your team to be successful and the support. And I always say, Matt, you've always given us the systems and the tools, and I'll never stop that. And we're always looking to be innovators, and more importantly, we're always reinvesting. I buy properties. If I make $1 million at a restaurant, I'll buy a property. Mm-hmm. So I believe that owning your own real estate's important.
And you own this, the dirt here?
Yeah, I own my real estates, my properties.
And I guess that helps in the long run. You want to sell it?
What happens if COVID hits?
Yeah.
What happens if the restaurant goes? So if 618 is worth zero tomorrow and I only own the restaurant, then what am I going to sell?
Yeah.
If you don't own the liquor license and the real estate, there's nothing to sell.
Exactly.
So my end goal is basically just, more real estate. So across the street from Mezcal, there was a little office building, and I needed the parking, and I needed an office, so I bought the property.
Wow.
But I was 7-day cash close. So no bank to go through my finances and say, hey, your debt ratio is not correct. And so you have to stay liquid. The property next door went for sale for $1 million because there was some environmental issues. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'll give you a 7-day close, no inspection. So now I own that property.
Wow.
I'm most likely going to be redeveloping that property. You're the first person to know. So my goal is to put another restaurant very close to 618.
Nice.
Yeah.
Would it be Italian? What's
We don't know yet.
Gotcha.
Something unique.
Hell yeah.
My chef will fight me for it, but I do want like an upscale Japanese. Mm-hmm. I don't like good sushi, great drinks. I mean, like cool vibe though, like a New York City vibe.
Nice.
We don't have enough of that. We just don't.
I like that whole style and cuisine. I also want to talk about like getting into real estate. If you need capital, if someone young wants to do it, like myself, how you could just hop into it. 'Cause that's my goal too, real estate.
A guy like you, the only way you buy property young is you have to buy it for the right price. You're not touching Monmouth County. So you're gonna have to find like Southwest New Jersey. You gotta find up and coming places. I mean, you wanna take the risk and go to Atlantic City, you wanna take the risk and go to Trend, you have to. Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, you can get some government, funding, Section 8, it's guaranteed rent. I'm not big on being a landlord. One of the things I do is I have a partner and we flip houses, but we're able to buy things quick, cheap.
Yeah.
So if a house is $400,000 and there's a situation where there's a bad septic or there is some small environmental issue or there's some zoning issues, we can offer them $200,000 cash 7-day close. No bank will touch that property. No. So the first time homeowners, you get a better interest rate. You have to start out, but you're gonna have to buy a fixer-upper. Don't buy something that's brand new. Don't buy something that has no value already. Mm-hmm. Buying a condo down the street now for $500,000 when they were $200,000 is dumb.
Yeah.
You have to get there when it's closer to that $200,000. There is property out there. You have to keep looking for it and find places that are beat up. Fix one room at a time. But that's where your end game in real estate is. I tell my partner now, I said, I don't want to make 10 or 20 grand a house. We have to have at least 100 grand on the bone or it's not worth it for us. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So we just wait. Time is, when you're young, you have time on your side. Mm-hmm. So right now, just find home runs because you can't make a mistake. Financially, you make a mistake and when you're young, you're done.
Yeah.
Can't make the mistake. So if 618 would have failed, I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be able to open more restaurants and buy real estate. But the restaurant business is always been good to me. I can't say it's like something I've always wanted to do for a living. People are like, you've always wanted to be in the restaurant business?
Yeah.
I just love business. I love people, I love challenges. That's why I've gotten into real estate. I've gotten into franchising, we're selling Jersey freezes. I've always wanted something, I've always wanted to learn. There's a couple of the concepts that I want to do. Like Mezcal was, you got to be brave to do a Mexican-inspired steakhouse, right? It's steakhouse first, but Mexican inspiration. And you had to, but I wanted something different, and look at the success for being different. You get rewarded when you take chances, and sometimes you'll lose. So listen, if Mezcal didn't make it, okay, I own the real estate and liquor license, I'll be all right.
Exactly. And
so I can take risk when you're established. So when you're young, my advice to you is you can't take risk. You have to find something that you know. So real estate, you won't get hurt. If you buy something that's a dump for 200, you can probably get out for almost the same. If you buy something worth 500, the market hits, you lose 100 grand. It's a problem when you're young.
And I guess it's all learning experience. I bet when you started, plenty of mistakes, and you just learn from it. What were some of those big mistakes that you made that you could give me a lesson on? Try to avoid those. So,
being too excited. I announced restaurants opening too soon. I announced partnerships that didn't really work out. Mezcal was actually going to be an Italian restaurant, and I was going to have a partner that didn't work out. So I said coming soon, and it never happened. So just being so excited. If that deal is too good to be true, there's a reason why it's too good to be true. Or more importantly, there's a reason why a guy like me didn't buy it already. There's a reason why the restaurants sit vacant. There's a reason why that house was never sold. Dig into it. Ask questions. You know, call the zoning office of the town. Say, hey, I'm looking to buy this property. Is there anything you can tell me about it? Oh, that's been there for years. And you never know what you're going to get. And surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, that already have been doing it. You know, if you're opening a restaurant, and I would love for you to open the restaurant across the street, because not every day they're going to have 618. They might go have pizza once a week, then come here. Let them coming to our town. Let them come to Asbury, right? But why wouldn't you ask me if I have a half hour for lunch to talk about it? Like, I'm sure you can learn something from me. I've been doing this a long time. And that's the problem, is we just think that, like, sometimes it's a pride thing, right? That we don't want to ask for help. I still ask for help. You don't think I call Carmine from La Medina, or Kimmy from Jasper Stone and ask him about advice, or Rob Cash from Metro and Trey, or Tommy from the Butcher Block, and throw something at them? Even though I've been probably doing it longer than all of them except for Rob, why not? Maybe they have a better purveyor. Maybe it's cheaper for their linen company. You know, hey, what florist do you use?
The little things that you just
why not?
brains.
And then you call the florist and pick their brain, and what makes you different? What makes you special?
Exactly.
You know.
How are you with competition? What's your perspective on competition?
I guess the only competition is myself, growing too fast. You know, that's you know, it's been 10 years since 618, and now I'm growing. Now it's time. So I don't really focus on the competition, because there's always going to be competition. You know, I always tell people there's going to be someone better looking than you, more money than you, smarter than you, more talented than you. You can't just sit here and just you know, live in that world. You just can't. Focus on who and what you are. Be true and consistent to yourself, and that's it. So, like, I just, you know, I stay in my own lane, I guess. You know.
I know you're a humble guy, but you're obviously known for going above and beyond for your clients. Or customers? Can you tell us some examples of the really nice, cool things you guys have done that makes you stick out?
Yeah. So a lot of it is I pay for a lot of after funeral lunches. I don't want someone to pay $5,000, $7,000, you know, at the most traumatic time. Like, something happens, and, like, you know, you got to bury someone. Like, the last thing you have to worry about is finding an extra $5,000 to have 100 people at a place. So I'm real aggressive when it comes to giving back to those things. And, you know, when I'm in a charity, I'm in a charity. You know, I'm blessed to be welcomed to a board for my favorite charity, is Live Like a Unicorn. You know, a beautiful little girl. She lost her life to pediatric cancer. And, you know, she was working for the charity that she helped start when she was alive, and she died, you know, wanting to spread cheer to hospitals. And, like, you know, just, if I can help spread her story now, you know, and just, you know, those are the things that just, you know, you'll definitely see me invest time that everyone's like, oh, I don't have time. You find a way to do it. So I'm a board member of charity. So that's, you know, those are the things that I can give back now, you know, because, you know, one, financially, my bills run auto pay. So if you have a couple extra bucks, it's going to go back to my business, it's going to my kids' future, or giving back to the people who gave to me.
Exactly.
If 1 million people give you $1, just $1, you made $1 million bucks. That's it. Everyone will give you $1. No one will give you $1,000. you know.
Even when you were younger, and I guess coming from Brooklyn, not so financially secure in the position you guys were you always a giver and always that kind person that you are?
Yeah, 100%.
And that stays with you. I guess you can't really teach that.
If I had $20 and we were at a pizzeria and my friends were there, I spent the $20.
Yeah.
You know?
That's awesome. And I guess it only amplifies as the years go by.
When you mature and get older, you do different things with your money. To me, it's strong and sound investments and keep investing into myself. And, you know, a vacation is investing in yourself. I'm closed Christmas and Thanksgiving. I can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
There's got to be a day you wake up and can't be motivated by money. So the success and the growth is my motivation has changed since I was young. When you're young, it's all about making money, you know? But then you're following people on Instagram and it's just like everyone's got a $100,000 watch and just a fancy car and just, okay, go home with your fancy car to your smaller house, you know, but an empty house. You're missing everything in life. You're missing that full, healthy household. And you know, to me, it's my children, you know, so my motivation and my success now is based on different things than a young guy.
How did that change your like risk tolerance or perspective and mindset when you had your
It's probably why I'm still in the restaurant business. You know, I didn't
motivation?
Really. After 10 years, I only grew to one restaurant instead of, you know, it's a safe space for me, right? I've never lost in the restaurant business, so I'll still continue to try things now that I'm more established that are outside the restaurant wheelhouse. That's Jersey Freeze was a new concept to me, and you know, I have 2 or 3 more projects that we're working on right now, and just, you know, the public speaking aspect of it and the book, and just, you know, you find you really start to become who and what you want when you already have that established, you know, I guess finances behind you.
Yeah.
So I have my bread and butter at 618. Mezcal did not have to be successful. Elizabeth's doesn't have to be successful. As long as my baby is reoccurring, which nothing but growth since year 1.
Yeah.
You know, it's awesome. After 10 years, I still have growth.
I know, it's amazing. And just the way people talk about it, it's like the staple of where people go. People talk about 618. Upstairs, I'm a DJ. The service is insane up there, let alone the 300, 200 people down here getting satisfied, you know? It's like a tight ship.
It's a unicorn. It really is, to be a 300-seat restaurant, 200-seat banquet hall with liquor license.
Yeah.
You know?
And do you guys dine upstairs as well when there's no banquets going on?
No.
No, right?
Yeah. You don't want to be greedy, like I said, like be home for the holidays. Like I don't want my staff working on Christmas. I don't want my staff working on Thanksgiving. Be home for the holidays. Yeah, I'm sure on a Saturday, there was no party, I can put people upstairs. You know, there's got to be a time that greed, I think, takes over for restaurateurs or any business owner. And just, you know, I'm not a greedy person. I love restaurants across the street. I love if everyone's like, oh, what if the restaurant opens a new one? That's okay, because how I treat people is different.
Definitely.
You know.
Did you have mentors when you just got started, and what people really motivated you?
So my brother was the first college-educated kid of our family. Smartest kid I know to this day. My brother, you know, in his 20s became a millionaire. So, you know, from nothing, he started doing drop shipping, you know, selling things on Amazon. And
nice.
In my book, my brother's there, and there's 2 other mentors. Pete Kamamis, who is why I'm sitting here today. He was the real estate guy. He owned this place before me. He basically held a note, you know, for me before I was on my feet, and always has my back. You know, he pushed me to buy Elizabeth's because he's like, you know, I'm there if you ever need something. And he was like, buy it.
Wow.
He goes, don't be afraid. He goes, do it. And, you know, because he taught me how to make money in real estate, and I watched him make a lot of money in real estate. And then my first general manager was a savage, cutthroat, culture, aggressive, the queen of accountability. You know, so you become a little bit of everyone.
Yeah.
So those 3 people have motivated me to something. And also, I just always had the touch of giving back, always had the touch of treating people how I wanted to be treated, and just being humble, you know. I guess that's the best I can tell people as you start scaling your businesses, and you do become someone who's making 7 figures a year or whatever it might be, is just, it's not about that, you know, it's just be the same person no matter what.
For sure. In your book, one of the sections I love is you talk about the lost art of upselling. And I think it honestly helps both parties. You know, you give the customer an experience they didn't know they wanted, and then obviously you guys make that more profit from helping them.
You have to be unique. If someone's drinking a Corona or a Tito's, you're failed. Every bar in the world has it.
Yeah.
So you're not really building brands. You're not. And then, you know, big thing in my book is the FBI story. You know, treat every person you meet, you know, hi, how are you? That's all it takes. You have to go best friends with the person. You don't have to have a coffee or beer with them, right? But just, hey, how's your day? How are you? You know, just that little simple touch is something I am. I help the Amazon guy deliver packages to my own house. Why not?
Yeah.
He has a house to go to. He's got an Instagram, a Facebook. He has friends. He might have an aunt who's who's looking for a party. Hey, have to have that 618. So just be nice. Be a kind person.
For sure.
You know, do you want to work at the pharmacy for $15 an hour while you're getting, you know, thrown up on and sneezed on? Everyone's sick. Imagine when I worked at a pharmacy, I learned patience because everyone's sick and they're nasty because they're sick. So you just, you know, this is what you signed up for.
Yeah.
So I always, you know, I'm always generally just nice to everyone, even when they're nasty. I kill them with kindness.
What were some of the key things that you learned growing up in Brooklyn, not so wealthy? What things did you take away from that shaped you into who you are today?
You know, life, nothing's promised to you in life, and you have to grow up quick, and you have to be self-dependent and believe in yourself, and you know, it's not supposed to be easy. And I love it because some of the biggest success stories in business are people that were against all odds, and you know, it wasn't given to them, like the trust fund kids. You know, basically when my kids say we have money, I say no, I have money. You know, it's the truth. I love that. They don't give it to them so easy. You know, I told my son, I said, you know, with that attitude, you're not going to be working for me when you're 13 years old and you know, bust somewhere else. And my kids will probably work somewhere before they come work for me. You know, but also don't push the business on them either. If my kids want to stay in the restaurant business, good for you. Want to stay in real estate, good for you. But there's no like you're going to be doing this. You know, do whatever you want. If my daughter wants to be a librarian, do it. You know, because that's happiness, right? Unfortunately, it's the first thing we say is how much does that job pay? Yeah. Well, you want to be miserable and make a little more money, or do you want to be happy? And you know, the people that work here love the restaurant business. They do.
So talk about more of, in your book, you made a transition where you went from bartender to a manager, and you were making less money, but...
Worst days of my life.
Worst days of your life. But what was the takeaway? Like, why'd you make that move, and why'd you stay there if you were making less money? Was it the experience, or...?
Yeah, so my goal was always to be my own boss, and I guess I kind of mastered serving and bartending. Yeah. And I wanted to learn more. I wanted to learn business, and I wanted consistency. It's great when you go work a Saturday and make 500, but there's times you made 100. You know, health insurance, stocks, 401k. I was always interested in preparing for retirement, and you should prepare for retirement when you're young. People always ask me, when should someone prepare for retirement? My kids are preparing for retirement. Yeah. They have dad, but my kids are preparing for retirement because it's important that they pass that down to their children, and they understand that at 18, if you don't have a 401k or IRA, one, you're losing tax savings. And people don't realize that. Like, you're making $1,000 as a server, you're being taxed on $1,000. But if you put 200 into your 401k, you're only taxed on 800. So there's money that was left on the table you were losing anyway. Yeah, it's going to cost you some money, but at the end of the day, see where that brings you in 20, 30 years. You know, and I had some really good luck with stock and things like that I had hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, basically in my late 20s that really geared me to, you know, not to rely on investors and things like that. You know, I guess I've always had money in my pocket, right? Yeah. Because I worked three jobs. And one job was like I saved. You just save.
How old were you when you opened 618?
So I became 100% owner 10 years ago. Gotcha. So I'm 44, so I was 34.
34.
Yeah.
And then was there a part in Darden, obviously you knew you always wanted to be an entrepreneur. What part in Darden made you really tick, maybe, make that switch?
False promises. I was a young boss, and I had big dreams. And it was, all right, we're going to move you here, we're going to move you there. They gave me promises that never came through. And, you know, they never asked, are you happy? What do you want? It's just like push, push, push. You're only a number, you know, and I never forget, I think it was, it could have been Tito's that just came out. And I wrote a letter, email to the director. I said, we need to bring in Tito's. Everyone's asking for it. Oh, I'll pass it down. It took 2 years to get that Tito's in.
Too slow.
I said, what a, you know, just come on.
Yeah.
You know, and just, you're capped, right? To them, it was all about your age and how many years you worked. Some of the best and most talented general managers were general managers in their 20s, and they weren't going to give people that real opportunity. I wanted to be a director or a vice president. They never would have given me that opportunity because they didn't look at it as, you know, they threw age in it. You know, why are we judged by how much money we make? Why are we judged about what college you went to? Why is that everyone's question? What college did you go to? Yeah. I love telling people I'm a dropout.
Yeah.
What's up? You know,
That's sick.
I love, you know, when people, the first thing they say is, what do you do for a living? Like, we're a society are so reliant on what do you do for a living and where do you live and how much money you make and just what school did you go to? And to me, it's just, I think my work should have shined and it didn't. They had a leader, apparently. Like, you know, I run a pretty successful restaurant group, and
100%.
I was there. You guys had me, young. You know, I could still be there, you know, but you didn't give me the opportunity.
Exactly.
And now they're CEOs in their 30s, so, you know, hopefully he sees this and sends me my DM.
100%. Well, he's definitely heard of your businesses, but
I'm sure.
do you think like Darden and the corporate world was too like in line with everything? Like you kind of take a mix from your experience and
so I'm a hybrid, and my style of ownership is family owned meets corporate. I think you need to be a hybrid to be successful. You need those structures, you need those systems, you need the accountability, but you also need to be able to change Tito's. Like I was telling you gentlemen before, I'm done with the smoked drinks. I'm done with the cheese wheel at the table. I'm done with the sparklers for every dessert. A diner has sparklers. If you don't invent yourself or reinvent yourself, I was smoking old fashions 5 years ago. So now that, you know, Bonefish is smoking old fashions, we're done.
it's all trend.
We got to get out.
Yeah. Talk about those new trends and how you stay aligned with your culture with trends and not taking every trend out there, but selective picking the right ones.
You know, we have to be politically correct. We have to be a Republican and a Democrat these days. So, you know, certain friends, you know, like Tommy from the Butcher Block, he's a little more aggressive, and I look at that and I'm like, well, I see success, but I don't know if it fits my brand because I'm selling franchises, you know. So I guess I kind of stay in the middle, and I want something that everyone would like, and who doesn't like, you know, I guess some of the biggest Instagram accounts are food and beverage. So it's just, it's safe. Everyone would follow food and beverage, but they wouldn't follow a politician, or they wouldn't follow, you know, something that could be a little bit not politically correct.
For sure. What have you really like learned about people through this whole experience?
People just want to feel seen. Everyone wants to feel important. Everyone wants to be heard.
Yeah.
And just slow down and let them talk and be patient and see what people really want. And, you know, there's like different stages, you know, like I have kids now that just, they're young and immature, and just, you know, you just want to be like, hey, you know, you have to wait.
Yeah.
You know, I know you want, but you have to wait until you handle certain situations, and, you know, just stay true to who you are. I'm never late. I'm always on time. You know, you just you could become a product of everything. Every person you meet, you become a product of, I guess.
For sure. And your restaurant sticks out from the rest. I think that's obviously, holistically, you guys are on point, but your employees have a lot to do with it, the way you train them. What's something you train your employees to do, and what do you look for in employees to make sure they represent your brand correctly?
So the first and foremost, the most important thing is personality. It's something you can't train or can't coach. You know, you'll be one of the first people I've ever told that I want to write a new book. I don't really believe in coaching anymore. Having 20 conversations with someone about being late or coaching them, you're always going to be late.
Yeah.
It's not just going to be work, it's your personal life. If you have a sloppy closet at home, you know, unorganized car, you're always going to be that person. A guy like me is, got to keep your car clean. You're not going to. You might do it the first time, you might do it, be good for the first week, but you're always going to be who you are.
Yeah.
And I've tried to change people and make them more of what I wanted for business. And my first boss, Cindy Sebrin, you have A's, B's, and C's in business. D's and F's you're going to fire, but you're never going to make someone a D and an A. You can only make them one grade better. But understand you're always going to have C's that still work for you. It's impossible to always have A's. And when you coach, you can only maybe make them a grade better. And she's right. I've coached people on their language or their presence or like, hey, their uniform's sloppy. And it's just crazy how just some people just, no matter how much you coach, you're not going to change that person. Finding that personality and finding that gem, we are always hiring rock stars. I'll find a spot for you. I need you. When I meet someone that says those things, I want to learn things your way, that's it. That's the person I want. Because I don't want to keep training and keep coaching the wrong person. That's not going to absorb it, you know?
For sure.
You tell someone that you're going to do something, you do it. And that's everything in life. Like people just, we blow smoke out of someone. Like, hey, I'll send you that paperwork or I'll do that. No, do it. You have to do it. Don't commit to it, but be vague. Hey, in 2 or 3 days, I'll get that back to you. Don't say I'll get it back to you today and then lie. Especially like when you're gonna edit videos for us and just like false promises become more false promises and then there's people you're gonna work with that just don't accept it because there's no excuse. Like I'm a really busy dude, but if I told people I'm gonna text you back, I just text that guy back in 59 minutes.
For sure. You make it happen.
Yeah, make it happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I could definitely say that's correct because I stopped by. The way we got connected is I have a lot of friends that work for you, and they always say good things, and the opportunity was there, but they weren't getting back to me, so I stopped by, got a business card. I emailed you guys, and within an hour, your wife got back to me.
You got lucky you had the right person.
Yeah. And it just, you're a man of your word because that's how it rolls, and then it just makes me want to work with you guys more, just, be here because you're on your stuff. And if you're on your stuff, then your employees are on their
100%.
stuff.
And there's accountability. So if I don't get the respect back, it's just, I'll let you pass the first time, but there's no second time. It's not a mistake anymore.
Exactly.
Everyone can make a mistake once.
Yeah.
No problem. And I give you the mistake. But 2 times, it's not a mistake.
Exactly.
And you have to be cutthroat. You have to be. And I have hard conversations because business is not emotions to me. There's no emotion involved. People are like, would you sell 618 tomorrow? Absolutely. Because I can't be emotionally attached. I want to be here, and I love being here. So that's why I'm here, and that's why we're successful, because I still love it. But people go to jobs they hate. Leave. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You're in relationships you hate. You're in, right?
I think it comes down to being scared of making the move, even though you're not happy where you're at.
Listen, when I was in my 20s, and I remember I had a Macy's credit card, $500. So the next day I spent $500. It's just that mentality that we have.
Yeah.
It's just 27% interest. I didn't pay that credit card off for 5 years.
You still pay it off.
It's just what it is. And that's the mentality you have. I hate to say it, but you can't afford that $200 shot at tequila. You just can't. You can't afford to go to Vegas. You can't, until you really have it, right?
Exactly. Like you said, people are wearing Rolexes and driving these nice cars, but coming home to their house that maybe they're behind on their mortgage.
100%.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Exactly. And it also comes down to, I think, showing off and trying to look.
Yeah. And then you meet people with real money. So I sit at tables on the brokest guy table. Yeah. Brokest guy table.
Wow.
This guy's hundreds of millions of dollars that you would never know in a million years. And those are the people I respect. Those are the people I want to sit with. Those are the people I want to learn from. I don't want to learn from the guy who's got the shiniest whatever it is and he pushes it in your face. It's just, there's a time that, was like, you want to have that stuff. You have to go to that cycle, though. You have to have that nice car. I bought a Maserati when I didn't have the money I had today. Now I drive a Cadillac because my father-in-law is the general sales manager at Cadillac in Toms River. What else would I want to drive?
Yeah.
I want to support him who supports me. And that's important to me. I have fancy watches and stuff because some of my regulars, so I just bought a new watch from Watch Boss NYC. He's in Staten Island. He comes to my restaurant once a week. That's why I buy a watch from. Yeah. That's what makes me want to buy a watch.
Exactly.
I follow him on Instagram. He posts cool stuff. That's the watch I want. Should I have spent the money? I gave back to him, and it's important to me.
I like your mentality to the point where you're not so concerned about the price, but you're in it for the long term and the holistic angle, and you're more of a people person.
Sure.
And I think over time, that's what makes you the wealthiest person on paper, but also relationship-wise, which is ultimately the
Yeah,
main.
I'm rich because of my family, and I'm rich because my friends.
Exactly.
And you know, when I do something I love, that's what being rich is. Rich is not about how much money you have in the bank, because there's trust fund people who have a lot more money than all of us that are just super wealthy, but they're unhappy, right? And
Definitely.
you know, you have to also too just, you know, you can't let stress get to you. You know, I really go home and I let it go.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's talk about taking emotion out of business. Were you always able to just withdraw that emotion from business and keep it?
When you're young and it's all you have is business, to me it was having a family that really forced me or made me say, hey, listen, there's better things, bigger things, you know? So 100%, I always say a healthy household is so important in business. And picking the right person to be married to. You know, my wife's a rock star. My wife was a business person, and she motivates me, and she's loyal, and she's awesome, and she puts pressure on me. She's like, you know, why didn't you do that, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. When things go wrong, obviously they go wrong every day. You just can't control it. What systems have you put in place to make sure that your employees still deliver?
Being authentically real and letting that person speak first. Don't give excuses. We give excuses every day. Well, you know, my chefs, steak comes back medium rare, okay? They're saying the steak is undercooked. That's perfect medium rare. I don't even like that conversation.
Yeah.
That's not that person's medium rare. To you, that's medium rare, but you didn't pay for it and it's not yours. You tell the guest, how can we make the steak your temperature? Does it need to be recooked? You need a new one? Does it need to be cooked some more? How do you want it? Go back in the kitchen, I need this steak cooked a little less. Don't even say the words medium rare.
Doesn't matter.
I need this steak cooked a little bit more. Doesn't matter what you think, doesn't matter if that person is wrong, you just fix the problem to what they want, what they need. And that's how I treat it. 100%. I call people and say, hey, we messed up. We try not to, there's no excuse for it. I will learn from it, I apologize. How can I make it better?
100%. And I guess lying comes back.
I had some guy once that, you know, said, you know, he got sick from an oyster. Not a single other person that day got sick from an oyster. I gave him a full refund, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, if I did make you sick, I hope I didn't. The health department would be here. No one else got sick, but I have your word for it. I apologize. That person came back, you know?
Came back.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate from all the people that try to get one over to the people who are...
It's part of business, take the loss.
Yeah.
You know, but there is times you fire your guests, it's in my book. If you're disrespectful, you know, you put your hands on my staff or treat them like they are the help, which they're not, you're out. I don't need your business, I don't want your business. Go bring that somewhere else.
Exactly. How do you deal with like those big personalities in your business if you have them, like dealing with a chef or dealing with a employee that thinks some different ways? Do you even hire those people, or how do you go about managing people?
They understand the culture.
Yeah.
The sit-downs one-on-one work well when you see something you don't like. And then if you don't like it, I don't care who they are, they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, go be toxic somewhere else.
Exactly.
You know, I killed the virus. That's it.
Yeah. And the virus doesn't affect
You
the
can have
business.
emotions, be aggressive, you do it. You know immediately that person's not the one for you. I'm pretty good. I can read.
Yeah.
I can read people. You know when you meet someone how genuine they are, how good they are. You can, in the restaurant business, I've been doing this a long time. The second I meet you, I judged you. You know, I know what kind of guys you are. You know, you guys are going to be successful, but you got to keep pounding because it's not handed to you. It's not given. You got to earn it every day. I'm still earning it.
Yeah.
Every day.
Are you satisfied with what you've accomplished?
Yeah. And I have a beautiful family.
Yeah.
That's all that counts to me
Yeah.
now. The success, the business, unfortunately, we put price tags on things, and like it's always like how big your house is. I don't live beyond my means, you know. I could buy any car I want. I could have a bigger house. I'm happy, you know.
And that's a key to building wealth, which is what I've read. I'm not there yet, but living below your means and not putting yourself in that position.
And what do you want to be? Like sit at a table and like, oh, I have all this, you don't? Like, you're not better than them.
No.
It's just money.
Yeah.
It can come and goes. What I love the stories is the people who made hundreds of millions of dollars and lost it all and built it all back again.
Yeah.
That's hard. If I lost it all tomorrow, I know I would build it all back. One small handshake at a time.
Exactly.
You know?
What's your best networking advice for the younger generation?
Best networking advice is to listen first, ask a lot of questions, and self-educate, 100%.
what's like some of the worst experiences that you've had here with customers, and how have you kind of went about that? Like some crazy stories.
I guess we'll talk like real crazy stuff. Like, you know, it wasn't here, but I was a young manager and I got called to the hostess desk, and someone must have unfortunately passed the number 2, and they shook it out it was sitting next to the hostess desk.
Oh my God,
So
on the floor?
Yeah, just sitting there, and it's just like, what goes on here? Yeah, so that was something that was like crazy, that there was just like, I guess, you know, I guess it happens. You know, and just, we had guests just like get divorced at the table, like just leaving a separate, like someone staying there crying and calls an Uber, like, you know, just crazy. The whole restaurant gets turned upside down.
Yeah.
You know, and you deal with just, you know, and there's liquor involved, you're always dealing with, the police will be there. You know, and it's just, you're always put in a situation that's just insane, you know.
Through the ups and downs in business, how do you stay tranquil and kind of see through the BS? And, you know, let's say the market's going up and down, you have to increase your price, maybe you don't have the best month. How do you stay aligned with your goals? And
everyone has an opinion. I'm not for everybody. I'm a higher tiered point restaurants, especially Mezcal. So it isn't for everyone. And, you know, at the end, we stick true to, we give you great service and we buy very high quality ingredients. Our prices are what they are, not because I just woke up with a pencil. They are because this is what I have to charge.
Yeah.
I'm only open 6 days a week. I'm not open for lunch. You know, that steak cost me $92. I need to charge a good a good price for it.
Exactly.
You know, we're not overcharging you, I promise. And I give you value too. There's a great happy hour. Bottles of wine that cost me $100, I lower the margins. But if something costs me $1, I'm supposed to charge you $3. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think you definitely, coming to your restaurants, people get what they pay for. You know.
Yeah.
And that's what makes them come back.
Listen, the cleaning company who's there, cleaning crew that's there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and the managers that are there at 3 o'clock in the morning, who's going to pay them? You know, the payroll is extremely expensive, and everything is so expensive. That free bread we give you is not free. Who's paying for it?
Someone's got to pay for it.
Yeah, we got to wash the basket. We have to put things on. Someone's got to serve it. Someone's got to cut it. It's got to store it. There's so much to it. It's just not just free. Where can you go and get free anything?
Nowhere.
You know?
Yeah. How do you handle the stress of having, let's say, 250 plus employees all around? Like, how do you handle that stress?
They're rock stars. They're leaders. They're great people. They're amazing work ethic. They've been molded and they work in an environment that they care. They're respectful. They want to be there. More importantly, they make money. Got to make money. You work for me, you make money. So they're happy.
Yeah.
You know, because they don't have to worry about, you know, hey, I don't have gas money to get to work, because you're going to go and have a good shift. We're always going to be busy, and we don't accept any culture other than that. So I have great people. I have a great management team, amazing rock stars. You know, future leaders, future partners.
Yeah.
My job is to make partners. My chef was my first partner, you know, and, you know, financially it's night and day from what he started to where he is now.
Exactly. And I bet for your employees now that have those goals and aspirations, that's very motivating for them to see that that's what you're looking for, because it gives them an opportunity, you know, to be partners with you or just work their way up.
Yep, 100%.
How important have reviews been and feedback and word of mouth been for you?
It's crazy how important that a random stranger's opinion is to some people.
Yeah.
Go and learn from yourself. Like, you might not like a lot of garlic, and they might like a lot of garlic. Like, go and really, I cannot believe we rely on a stranger's palate. And you know, sometimes it's just fake. It's disgruntled employee, it's competition. I got a 1-star review here, worst pizza ever. We don't have pizza. Like, what is that? Like, how's it allowed?
Yeah.
You know, like, at the end of the day, it's just, we become a society obsessed with other people's acceptance and other people's, like, it's just, worry about yourself, and more importantly, go and judge it for yourself. But I am blessed with a high-ranked restaurant. I'm blessed because we really do care about your experience. We do. And we listen to the 1-stars, and sometimes they're valid. They really are. I love a good 1-star that's valid, you know?
I saw you post one the other day.
But
I think the key is you listen, you know, and you read the room, and you give that guy with the oyster, maybe it was true, maybe it was false, but you took care of him regardless, you know?
I'm gonna at least listen to you and make you feel seen, because you are. We do care, and we looked into it. There's no problem with oysters.
Exactly. So when someone walks into your restaurant, what do you want them to feel? What's the vibe you're going for that they walk in, they're like, wow.
It's like your judgment-free, stress-free zone. Just you're here to have a consistent, good time, and we want you to feel the value in the service. We want you to feel the value in the decor. We want you to just leave whatever going on, because we all have something going on in life, and just leaving it there and just having a good time for a couple hours, just forgetting about the chaos of life.
Like an escape almost.
Yeah, 100% vacation.
Yeah, for sure.
Staycation.
Yeah, it's a place to be.
That's it.
Let's go more into the business side of things. What advice would you give to a 20-year-old entrepreneur just getting into the business world? From your experiences, what would you tell him to look out for?
Kind of just have blinders on with social media. There's a lot of fraud out there and just scams, or it's inflated on what real life is. And just do a lot of networking and get at the tables that you don't belong at, and just stay true and consistent to what you are, and just, be humble.
For sure. When you look for employees, what are some red flags that you stay away from?
Yeah, multiple jobs in a short amount of time. They came late or not dressed professionally. It's just that first impression is so important. Going on their social media, and just, hey, if they're in Atlantic City every weekend and they're drinking like crazy and just smoking weed, I mean, you're your own brand, right? So there's a lot of stuff out there. A 2-minute conversation, you can already know.
Definitely.
100%.
This is a great conversation, a lot of value. I always like to open it up towards the end. What's the best advice to increase their hospitality or kind of change their mindset to be more of a...
Understanding your client, know what, and it takes time to build that relationship, but learn what they do, learn what they want, learn what they like. We had a table the other day that, we heard like, what are you guys doing after here? The server heard that they're going to Dairy Queen for a shake. We went and got the shake.
Wow.
So it's just, finding it, making it personal. Personalize that service. When you guys are, selling marketing or whatever it is, personalize it. I don't care about the dumb sheet that you do for everyone else. That's what you do, but how are you going to personalize it for me? And what do you want out of us? What do you need? What don't you like? And just, we already know that some of our regulars don't like mushrooms. Hey, we would give you the special today, but it has mushrooms in it. We know you don't like mushrooms. How does that make you feel? That's where you want to go.
Yeah.
We're the place that you come and everyone comes to the table and the owner gives you a hug and says, how are you? Welcome, John. And you have a business meeting. That's where you want to go. You want to go where you feel seen and wanted, and we do a great job at that. Personalized touch, personalized dining, I call it. Besides the food and service, that's the basics. That's a non-negotiable. If you have a big dinner coming up, you want to impress your in-laws.
Yeah.
You're going to want to go to a restaurant that is going to consistently, give you great food and great service. That's a non-negotiable, but also make you feel seen. That the owner comes over, they know your special bottle of wine, like everyone comes and says hi. So we have plaques here, which means you visit our restaurant 25 times or more. It's a non-negotiable that everyone says hi to that table.
Wow.
If I'm here, it's the first table I go to, because those are my loyal fans. Those are my raving fans. And it's important that those people can go anywhere they want. They choose to go to you.
How do you keep note and track of those people?
Modern software, Open Table is really good. The old days we used to have binders.
Yeah.
Today you can put a guest note in or a visit note. Visit note's what's going on today, anniversary, birthday. Guest note stays forever. And we like to learn things. Son goes to NYU, so then, hey, how's your son doing NYU? Things like that.
Awesome. What can we expect from you in the next 10, 20 years? What's your end goal, really?
My end goal is, of course, growing the brand for my employees, and just really dabbling in things that I think are uncharted territory, like different cuisines and different challenges. Definitely stay in the restaurant business. Maybe another book or two, more motivation speaking, definitely real estate. Real estate doesn't hurt anyone. Some of the most successful people I know are in real estate. So just, and then staying true to who and what I am, and my legacy is giving back, and just, being a parent, and, being a good husband, and, that to me it's what's important, and that's what they expect from me.